War, poverty, corruption, hunger, misery, human suffering will not change in a monetary system. That is, there'll be very little significant change. It's going to take the redesign of our culture, our values, and it has to be related to the carrying capacity of the earth, not some human opinion or some politician's notions of the way the world ought to be, or some religious notions of the conduct of human affairs. And that's what the Venus Project is about. The society that we're about to talk about is a society that is free of all the old superstitions, incarceration, prisons, police, cruelty, and law. All laws will disappear, and the professions will disappear that are no longer valid, such as stockbrokers, bankers, advertising, gone forever, because it's no longer relevant. Patriotism, weapons, armies, navies, all that is a sign that we're not civilized yet. Kids will ask their parents, "Didn't you see the necessity of the machines? Dad, couldn't you see that war was inevitable when you produce scarcity? Isn't it obvious?" Of course the kid will understand that you were pinheads, raised merely to serve the established institutions. We're such an abominable, sick society that we won't make the history book. They just say that large nations took land from smaller nations, used force and violence. You'll get history talked about as corrupt behavior all the way along until the beginning of the civilized world. That's when all the nations work together. World unification, working toward common good for all human beings, and without anyone being subservient to anyone else, without social stratification, whether it be technical elitism or any other kind of elitism, eradicated from the face of the earth. The state does nothing because there is no state. There is no state. The system I advocate, a resource-based global economy, is not perfect. It's just a lot better than what we have. We can never achieve perfection.
At present, we are left with very few alternatives, since we're on a collision course of our own making. Answers from yesterday are no longer relevant. Considering the damage already done to the environment, we are rapidly approaching a point of no return, where nature will dictate the course. Either we continue as we have, with outmoded social customs and habits of thought, thereby threatening our future, or we apply a more appropriate set of values, relevant to a sustainable society, with more opportunity and freedoms.
Americans have been conditioned in their kind of society to get a different kind of car next year, to buy a new television set or a tape recorder. We are radical as hell, but our political and social institutions have not changed. And this is where we are stagnating, because we always equate any new idea with communism or regimentation, because we've been brought up to fear that which is new.
None of the world's economic systems, socialism, communism, fascism, or the free enterprise system have eliminated the problems of elitism, nationalism, racism, and most of all, scarcity. These are all based primarily on economic disparity. When money is used to regulate and distribute resources for profit, and people and nations are out for themselves, they will seek advantage at any cost. They do this by maintaining a competitive edge, or through military intervention. War represents the supreme failure of nations to resolve their differences. From a strictly pragmatic standpoint, it is the most inefficient waste of lives and resources ever conceived. social and environmental problems will remain insurmountable as long as few nations control most of the Earth's resources, and the bottom line is profit over the well-being of people. Putting profit first results in unnecessary suffering and aberrant behavior prevalent today. Many people feel that we need the rule of law to eliminate our problems. We have many laws, thousands upon thousands of them, but they are constantly being broken. Paper proclamations and treaties do not alter the facts of scarcity, deprivation, and insecurity.
You can predict the shape of the future and the values if you know the trends of events and the ocean pollution, the scarcity of arable land. If you watch that degrading system grow, I can predict the riots and killing and assassination. In other words, human behavior is really generated by the surrounding environment. If there's a scarcity, say, of water, it is prized, and its price is high. Let's discuss scarcity as a system. Suppose it rained gold for about 3 days, gold dust. People would go out and shovel it in, fill the cellars, the attic, every drawer in the house. They throw out their clothing. If the rain kept up for a year, so the gold was all over the place, people would sweep it out of the house, take their rings off, throw them away, and so human behavior undergoes change to that condition. There's only a policeman in front of something that people have need for and don't have access to. So you put a guard there. But if lemon trees or orange trees and apple trees grew all over the place, you couldn't sell it. If you landed on an island that was so abundant with resources, you had 10 people, there were 1,000 fish for every person if you wanted it. There were 10 times the amount of bread, fruit, and bananas. Money would not come into existence. Private property would not come into existence. If the island was big enough, there was 10 people, there were 8,000 acres. No one would give a damn about staking out this particular area. There are patterns of behavior that promote survival. There are social conditions that change our values and outlook. No one can write a constitution of required behavior without consulting the environment. So we'd better take care of the environment, we'd better take care of one another, and we'd better educate people to the highest possible levels of our ability in order to have a society.
Let's examine our social arrangements further. To maintain our economy, products must continuously be sold. To assure this, they are deliberately designed to wear out and break down. Maybe you've noticed this usually happens right after the warranty expires. This corrupt practice is referred to as planned obsolescence, which is the conscious withdrawal of efficiency. Innovators go through the finest schools and then are required to design things that wear out and break down right on schedule. This results in a tremendous waste of resources and energy. We are plundering the planet for profits. If you think about it, it isn't a job people want, but access to what their paycheck will bring. Money does not represent anything real, and there's no gold, silver, or resource to back it up. You can't eat money or build a house of it. It's not even related to our real capacity to produce goods and services on this planet. The monetary system has been handed down from centuries ago, and we continue to use it without questions.
This system will keep installing more and more automation, cutting down on the purchasing power of the majority of people. There will come a time, it's called the Gaussian curve, where employment is that, production is this, and purchasing power is that. The system stops. Banks fail, nothing works anymore. We're moving in that direction very rapidly. We're moving towards social collapse. I think this going to happen all over the world, not just here. And it doesn't require the overthrow of the government. It just requires that you let it alone. It'll overthrow itself. If you control the media, you can calm people down. But if the majority keeps getting laid off, they don't have purchasing power, the system collapses. It doesn't work anymore. They invade. It's already happening. This country is already insoluble. They're going to have difficulty with national security, paying pension people. They've spent far beyond what they already have. Now, all they can do now is create debt, borrow more and more money from banks. The federal government is not allowed to print money. It's not allowed to lend money or get in the banking business. That is a privilege for bankers only. So what the government has to do if they want to build an air force, say, of 2,000 planes a month, they have to borrow money from a private lending institution, sign the dotted line, and if the war is lost or failed, the burden falls on the public to pay off that debt.
We find ourselves and our social constructs in a transitional state, a matter of social evolution. If we want to make it through these turbulent times, we must be able to adapt to change. All things change, including our social systems. Albert Einstein stated, "We cannot solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them." Earth is still abundant with resources. Our practice of rationing resources through monetary control is no longer relevant and is actually counterproductive to our very survival. Today, we have highly advanced technologies, but our social and economic system has not kept up with our technological capabilities, which could otherwise easily create a world of abundance for all, free of servitude and debt. How can this be possible? There is not enough money to feed or house all people on this planet, let alone accomplish these more ambitious ends. But Earth has more than enough resources to meet the needs of all people, but only if managed intelligently. Jacques Fresco envisions a solution that he calls a resource-based economy. It is a socio-economic system in which all goods and services are available to everyone, without the use of money, barter, credit, debt, or servitude of any kind. It is unlike any social system that has gone before. Fresco arrived at this direction through 75 years of study and experimental research.
A resource-based economy operates on the basis of available resources and makes those resources available to every human being on Earth, free of charge, without a price tag. So we have today more than enough resources to build a far more advanced society. I'm not talking about limited handouts so that people just get by. I'm talking about a very advanced civilization. We have the resources, we have the technology, all we have to do is apply it.
One of the main aspects of the Venus Project is to eliminate scarcity. This is where the technology comes into play. Because if we set up a resource-based economy and some things are scarce, it won't work. If you set up a resource-based economy in a society that has no resources, it won't work. So today with our technology, we can make things available. We can eliminate scarcity. We can create an abundance. As long as we can create that abundance, that will eliminate greed and selfishness and a lot of crime and a lot of aberrant behavior.
A social system can be designed so that all can live fully and constructively if the powers of science and technology are directed toward human and environmental concern and overcoming the artificial scarcities of our debt-based monetary systems. All people, regardless of political philosophy, social customs, or religious differences, ultimately depend upon the same resources: clean air and water, arable land, medical care, and a relevant education.
I think if you pledge allegiance to the earth and everyone on it, that'd be the way to go for the future.
The human species is a single family, and the world is home to everyone. Neither nations nor people can coexist separately any longer.
No more separate nations, so anyone can go anywhere. Before the states joined together, they used to stake out their territory. They used to fight. They had militias. They would fight. This is our territory. Oh no, you're intruding. When all the states joined together, the government worked out the lines of the states, and they agreed, and that was the end of territorial disputes. If you want the end of war, you must declare the earth common heritage.
This has nothing to do with those who want to form an elite world order with themselves and large corporations in control and the rest of the world subservient to them. On the contrary, a global resource-based economy enables all people to reach their highest potential, where they can thrive and grow in a society that works in their behalf, a society that protects and preserves the environment as well, one that understands that we are part of nature, not separate from it.
This undersea observation station permits people to view marine life in its natural habitat. These mariculture and sea farming systems cultivate and raise fish along with other forms of marine life to help meet the nutritional needs of the world's people. These structures would permit the free flow of water throughout. Using technology in this way would make it possible for a global society to achieve social advancement and worldwide reconstruction in the shortest time possible.
Utopia, if ever established, will die, will stagnate. Whereas what I'm talking about, an evolving culture or an emergent culture, I have no notions of a perfect society. I don't know what that means. I know we can do much better than what we've got. I'm no utopian. I'm not a humanist who would like to see everybody living in warmth and harmony. I know that if we don't live that way, we'll kill each other and destroy the earth.
This new lifestyle, while providing leisure and recreation, would also enhance knowledge and creativity for everyone. The measure of success would be the fulfillment of one's personal interest, rather than the acquisition of wealth and self-centered goals. A resource-based economy would not only change our environment to make it clean, efficient, and enjoyable, but it would introduce a new value system, appropriate to the direction and aims of the new innovative approach. With education and resources made available, there would be no limit to the human potential. Everyone will have the freedom to pursue whatever constructive field of endeavor he or she chooses, without the economic limitations that we face today. We are now at a time when decisions must be made if we wish to evolve from our present culture of scarcity, waste, and environmental destruction to a sustainable society of ecological concern and abundance. A nation without a vision of what the future can be is bound to repeat past errors over and over again.
If we say dishonestly that man is the highest form of evolution, which you get in school, man destroys the oceans, the fish, the atmosphere, one another, and man flies over a city, presses a button, and burns everybody in the city with nuclear weapons. Is he the highest creation of nature? Not yet. And my opinion. We've got a long way to go. We could either develop paradise on earth or oblivion, wipe ourselves out. Only the future will tell. It's what you do to make the future.
We can create a world where war and want are distant memories. When all of science and technology are used within a global resource-based economy for the protection of the environment and the well-being of all. Only then will we understand what it means to be truly civilized. Be a part of the growing community of people working toward making the aims of the Venus Project a reality. Join us in our efforts to bring this vision of a positive future to a wider audience through the goal of a major motion picture.
All of these things can be built with what we know today. It would take 10 years to change the surface of the earth, to rebuild the world into a second Garden of Eden. The choice lies with you. The stupidity of a nuclear arms race, the development of weapons, trying to solve your problems politically by electing this political party or that political party, that all politics is immersed in corruption. Let me say it again. Communism, socialism, fascism, the Democrats, the liberals, there are no Negro problems or Polish problems or Jewish problems or Greek problems or women's problems. They're human problems.